Hello and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. The standard disclaimer applies. The thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. Let's see. To interact with us, send questions and comments to our Twitter page at Mason Roundtable, or on the Facebook event page for episode 232, Fellowcraft Band, or on the YouTube chat running alongside this video live. So thank you for all of our live viewers. We enjoy interacting with you every week, and that's saved for history, so don't say anything you'll regret. Let's see. My name is John Ruark. I'm a past master of Patriot Lodge number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia, and one of the hosts of the show. Let me get over to the hosts we have tonight, which include, let's see, Mike the intern, are you available? Mike is dialing in from his mobile Masonic command, and it looks like he was actually getting in and out of the car, so I'm going to skip him from now.
He's not available. He's married.
Not available. Ladies, he's taken.
Yeah.
Jason Richards. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm also happily married. Also, past master of Vacation Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, member of the Colonial Lodge number 1821 in Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Jason. Let's see, Mike the intern, how you doing?
Good. How are you tonight?
Doing great. You're looking like the emperor.
That's because I'm still in my car. I just pulled off so I could introduce myself again. But Mike Ambrick from Triandria Lodge, number 780 in Rock Creek, Ohio, and Village Lodge, number 274. Triandria is also where I am the junior steward and lodge education officer. Good evening.
Why take one job when you could have two?
That's right.
Thank you, Mike. Be safe. Yep. Next up, Juan Sepulveda. Hi, Juan.
Hello, everybody. Happily married from Kissimmee, Florida, and a member of Orange Blossom Lodge, number 80 in Kissimmee. Host of the Winding Stairs Freemasonry podcast. Juan Sepulveda at your service.
Thank you very much. And in case you haven't noticed, we have a few other folks. We kicked RJ out for tonight, and instead we replaced him with three, because it takes three to replace Robert Johnson. I'm going to introduce J.R. McDonald, and I'll let him introduce the rest of the band. J.R., who are you, and why are you here? Make sure you unmute yourself first. You sound a lot better that way.
Hello. Hey, my name is J.R. McDonald. I am the Tyler of Federal Lodge number 1 and the singer and guitarist for the band Fellowcraft. My marital status will not be disclosed on this program tonight. No, I'm kidding. I'm getting married in a month. But with me are my esteemed colleagues and best friends and soon-to-be groomsmen at my upcoming wedding, Brian Nelson Palmer and Brandon Williams.
All right, Brandon, welcome.
Hey, guys. I'm Brian Nelson Palmer. I am also a member of Federal Lodge number 1 with J.R. McDonald there. And then I'm a member of I'm a Shriner and also with the DC Scottish Rite. I'm a 32nd degree as well in the Valley of Washington. So proud to be also the drummer for Fellowcraft and honored to be on this program with you guys tonight. This is really cool to be here. Thanks for having me.
And are you available?
Oh, and yes, I am available.
Right. So the one lady that we have watching.
For the one or two that tune in, yes.
This is how the world ends. This is how the world
Co-Masons, yes.
If it comes from this program, I will die.
Not with a bang, but with a Masonic intro.
There it is.
Speaking of Masonic intros, Brandon.
Hello, I'm Brandon Williams, and I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm actually the bassist and backup singer in Fellowcraft and the vice president of learning of the volunteer group, volunteer arm of the DC Metro chapter of the Association for Talent Development. So I like my educators out there.
What?
High five, Brandon. Nice.
And the second non-Mason we have ever had on the show. Also, the first non-Mason we have ever had on the show.
I'm honored to be included. I've been honored to play in the temple for the celebrating the crafts. I love you guys and everything you do.
Great. Well, again, thanks for coming on, and I think we have a good show lined up. Let's switch over to our normal agenda, which is Masonic news. And, shifting gears, this one is kind of a hard one because, we normally try to introduce things that are going on kind of in the global interest of Freemasonry, or sometimes, that are things that are maybe hyper local, but impact the fraternity or ask some really tough philosophical questions about recognition or items like that. But, this one tonight hits a little close to home. And we've done the show for it's been about 4.5 years. We did this in February. Started this little experiment in February of 2014. Yeah. So February will have been coming up. Who have been 5 years of giving you hopefully what we think is a variety of superb Masonic content almost every Tuesday night. You may have noticed we've had trouble getting all the hosts on lately, and it's really been tough to align things. Things change. From we've noticed that over the past couple of years, we've had a lot of changes happen on the show. In fact, we've lost a host, but then we gained the world's greatest Masonic podcast intern, Mike the intern. We've had children born, not live on the show, of course, but we've had children born in the time frame of this show, and losses in our Masonic and personal families. And so, life goes on, things change, and so I don't know if you guys want to add to some of the struggles we had on Tuesday.
The most challenging thing is Tuesday nights are never going to be the same for me. This is something that I've been used to. Every Tuesday night is almost like just waking up in the morning is natural to me. Sitting down here every Tuesday night and speaking with my brothers, it's something that I look forward to. It's something that it's brought a lot of fulfillment. It's brought a lot of experiences, a lot of challenges too, but welcome ones. And just looking back, that what this collection of over 220 Tuesdays is, well, now, it's just going to be different. So, but I like to say I'm honored to have been part of this journey every Tuesday night at 10 sharp. I've never been late. Not for you watching. Never. Right? I love you, John.
No, I think the biggest thing here is to just thank all the fans and all the folks who watch us live and interact with us. You guys have been great. You've been a big part of why we've done this for so long, and we really appreciate just you all sticking by us through some of the harder times. And so I just before we go off and do the next thing, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody watching, because you guys are awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna make me cry. And that's very important, Jason. You saying that, it's important that we thank the people. I'm looking right now here at our chat on YouTube, the people that are watching live. You tuned in to a very special show, and I'm glad that you're a part of it. And hopefully you're not too, it doesn't mess up your schedules and your life as much as it's going to do us. But thank you for being there every Tuesday night.
Mike the intern, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, see, for me, this has been, since the beginning of my Masonic career. I mean, I was listening to you guys before I actually joined and watching your show. And so Tuesday nights really became something very, very special to me. And then it became even more special after I got invited on and, to become a permanent member, So, so for this change to occur, man, is really, it's going to be a big thing. I appreciate the fans too, as much as I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, it's certainly something that we haven't been looking forward to for a really long time. But we don't want you, the listeners, to think of this as the end. We want you to think of this as a new beginning. Specifically, the beginning of a new date and time for TMR.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think?
We are moving to Thursday nights, 9:30 Eastern Daylight Savings Time, 8:30 p.m. Central.
That's right. So
Y'all drug that one out.
sorry for trolling you guys. But in all seriousness, the conflicts and obligations that we've had with our families and with other lodge nights on Tuesday nights has just not been working out for us. So we're going to shift starting October 18th. So we're giving you a little bit of heads up and hopefully not troll you too much harder after that. But starting October 18th, we will be going live to our new date and time, Thursdays, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. And then you can expect the audio version of the show to be cut right after that, and you'll see it live in your podcast app Friday mornings. So we wanted to get that word out there now, but also know that we wouldn't leave you hanging. We love you.
And we don't want to see any kittens punted. On fire.
Don't kick the yes. Oh goodness. So there you go. That's up for Masonic news. Coming up, we'll let you know next week as well, just to give you a heads up, and we'll hopefully see you then. All right, enough trolling. This has been fun, but now we really want to get to our special guests. Fellowcraft, we had you guys back on episode 111. If we had planned this a little bit better, we could have gone from episode 111 to episode 222. So you're just gonna have to take 232 as a runner-up prize.
32 is Masonic number, though.
It is, and so is episode 111 because it's 3.
Which is a perfect segue.
What a coincidence.
Wow. But that was
I was
all.
going to say thank you.
It wasn't me this time, I swear.
But yeah, that was all the way back March 29th of 2016. So I'm going to hand it off to the three of you to say what have you guys been up to since then?
A lot. Just an absolute lot. When we first came on your show, we were a new band that had, really just formed. Brandon had joined not but a few months prior, and we had a batch of songs that we knew. We knew about 12 or 13 songs, and Brandon spent like the first 6 months drinking from a literal fire hose. And as we got through that, and we played CTC, we played a handful of gigs, something really magical happened. And 3 guys with 3 instruments and 3 distinctly different voices, opinions, and life, not life, but just we all have the same tip. We all live the same pretty much, but we all come from different musical backgrounds. We started to gel, and that from there we have done almost 100 gigs. We've played everywhere from the Velvet Lounge to the 930 Club. We've played with countless different acts, and we just released our last record, which ironically is called 3. And it took us 3 years to make. So from the time we left your show to now, we've been working on a record, and we're happy to say that it's finally out there.
That's super cool. So tell us about 3. BNP, Brandon, what's the new album like?
Oh, Brandon, you go first, buddy.
Well, it has a lot more of my original bass lines. We'll say that much.
Especially the first song.
I don't recall anyone else playing bass in the studio.
That's true. So for me, with our album, it runs the gamut from punk to hard rock to some Chili Peppers-esque sort of in between to some country influenced. My country brethren out there are going to have to speak up on the YouTube comments, because I know some of us out there grew up with it and love it now. And it's also a big departure, I think, for me, because they're all about completely different things, and things that are way more important than, the lost loves we've had. Because I think, all the men here on the round table, even all the happily married men can relate back to that, that first lost love. But on this album, JR writes some really powerful lyrics about homelessness, about the fight for equality, and kind of a Me Too era, and I think it's a lot more powerful, not because it's political, but because it's important to us. It's what we believe in, and gosh, guys, the music is just I like listening to it. The music stands on its own for me as I listen to some bigger, more well-known bands. We're not just playing under the stairs for each other anymore. We're hoping to loop people in and actually give people something fun to listen to when they're working out, when they're in their house cleaning, doing the dishes, whatever you might be doing. So we hope everyone checks it out.
Yep. And on my side, this is and a little bit of context. So in the middle of September, we released the album 3. So if you go on any of the platforms that you go to, that you get your music from, you can look up Fellowcraft is the name of the band, and the album is 3. I put in the comments of this video, I've got the link. So you can fellowcraftband.com/3 is where you can find all the links. So you can check out this album that we're talking about. So it's 9 songs. It's a full LP. And for me personally, I mean, I play drums and a little bit of backup vocals, and this one was a lot of fun for me because I really love a lot of different types of music. And this was definitely, we've continued our tradition of not really sticking to one genre. So we are not a rinse and repeat kind of band. So there's one song on here that's a little bit of a go-go vibe with a rapper that does a section. We've got some featured artists. We do a blues track. There's some good rock vibe. There's a little bit of everything in here for a lot of people. And so for me on the drums, it was also a lot of fun because it was a different beat every time. There's nothing, I don't repeat anything on this album. And for me, whether I'm playing it live for you or whether I'm doing it CTC was a blast to play, or wherever it is that you're playing, whether it's recording or anywhere, for me, it's a lot of fun to play all these different beats and create this music that we've created. And now it's really exciting after 3 years. I mean, we call it 3, and JR, I want you to take a moment now to say all the different 3s that are on this album, because it's kind of amazing. And one thing I do want to do, let me see if there's a way, I don't know if you can, John, I don't know if there's a way for you to take the screen and show the image there, but that's one of the things is there's a lot of 3s on this album. And so a little bit of homage to to the brethren out there for this one, because even though we're not a Masonic band per se, we are definitely, JR and I are Masons, and there's a good heritage there and a love there with us. So it's good, but there's some good, JR, talk about the 3s, man.
3, por favor.
Well, so it didn't start off with that. We didn't start off going to call it 3. We originally planned on doing an EP, and we were going to call it Bartenders and Bourbon because that was the first song that we wrote as a band together. We thought it was a cool title. And the idea of, Brandon and I love to tell funny drinking stories. And Brian likes to drive us home. So it worked out.
Not all the time.
Enough that I write a song.
It's true.
He has taken me on the longest rides, but not the most frequent.
If you count miles, dude, I'm just counting miles. I'm counting miles. Right? No, it was. And we thought about that. We talked about it. We wrote the song together. And it all kind of, that EP kind of culminated last year in June when we recorded in the first studio with our first producer. And he was given to a friend of us, recommended him and said, you really should record with Jason Mendelsohn. And we did. And we did 5 songs with him, and we had a freaking blast. It was so much fun. And I remember thinking that I couldn't wait to get these 5 tracks out. I was so proud of them. And then by the time we got the mixes back and when we had them mastered, we'd written 4 more songs. So we're like, and in between that process, I had done some overdubs at another studio with another producer who's kind of given us some insight. We were going to release the 5 songs in 2 studios. And when we had 4 more, I thought, well, hell, let's just package this all up together. So by the time we had 9 songs, I thought, we've been a band about 3 years now. I mean, with this trio, this core group of guys, which was awesome because, ultimately, like the first iteration, like as Fellowcraft was born, we weren't even a band for a year when we met Brandon, and we were still growing. We were like just growing into our skin. And I thought, man, it's really neat what 3 people can do. I made the comment before on another podcast about 3 sticks from an engineering perspective, and that the only way that they'll stay up is if they all bear the weight equally. And that's how Fellowcraft works. All 3 of us have input. All 3 of us vote. All 3 of us hold each other up. We help each other when we're down. It's something that not just musically, but also, professionally and personally. So I thought, heck, let's call this thing 3. Then I'm like, hey, we got 3 studios, 3 producers, 3 band members. And then things started getting weird. So we noticed we had 9 songs, and that was interesting. 9 songs. We thought, well, that's cool. It's a multiple of 3. The record happens to be 36 minutes long. So that was interesting. 3 and 6 is 9. So I thought that was weird too. Then we had, we did not plan this. We didn't go out searching for 3 guest performers, but at the end of a year's worth of collaboration, we had 3 guest performers. And we just thought, man, this is nuts. So as the band's central artist, that's one of the roles that I do in the band. Brian's the bank and Brandon's our point man at the bar. He usually takes care of all of our logistic load-ins, deals with all the people, like if we have checks that are outstanding, or pays the band tab because he's a mensch. But we all have different things that we do, And I said, well, as an artist, I'm going to come up with a bunch of mock-ups and see what they like. And I put them like 25 or 30 graphics together and thought, what do you guys like? The one that resonated with everybody was the 47th problem of Euclid, Pythagorean theorem displayed in its context, heavily featured in Masonic symbolism. And we mentioned that to Brandon. I said, hey, man, if we put this out, Masons are going to look at it and be like, whoa, what is this? You guys really jumped the shark or whatever. And he's like, no, I love it. It's a cool mathematical problem. It represents a project in 3s. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We thought that was neat. Like the 3 of us came together, made a core product. And I really do love just how it turned out. And then when you look at the cover, it's also in red, white, and blue, which is kind of neat. Because that's the little American flag colors there. And there's also 3 faces in the record. I put that in there. And then on the back of the record, I've got the 3 stars for the DC flag. So I'm looking forward to that. We just kept rotating it every time. Once we realized it was an accident in 3s and then it got a little spooky, I just hung on to that theme and just ran with it. Because there's 3 of us, there's 3 voices, there's 3 instruments, a diverging amount of genres, but ultimately we're making one core product.
And it really,
there are 33 viewers watching live. Right?
Oh my God! I'm telling you, man, it's
just ticked up. It just ticked up.
All right, thank God. Did he plan that?
There are.
You might have.
But we've paid all 33 of them equally.
No, but it's as spooky as it is. It's been a lot of fun. And Brandon's right. Like the genres are really different. And he's right about one thing that I can't say enough. And that is that we really did write this from the heart. Like I wrote Get Up Young Phoenix pretty much on my own. And I was going through a really rough time. I was going through my divorce. And I just poured it out there. I was like, all right, I'm going to write all these horrible songs about bad things that happened in my life. This record's got, like you mentioned.
But also listen to the first album. Check out the first album with all the horrible songs.
No, they're not horrible. They just tend to follow one theme, I think. Like, if you listen to Get Up Young Phoenix, I think you're going to walk away going, you're going to walk away and go, who hurt you? JR, who hurt you? Who did this to you?
The world.
That's what you'll do. Other than West Texas Blues and Get Up, and Last Great Scotsman, which you'll be like, what is this? Which is an awesome workout song, by the way. You'll walk away and go like, this, you have been hurt. He has been hurt. I think if you listen intently to 3, you're going to walk away and go, I guess it's the same thing that I think we've heard. And also what I would say is these guys have really grown, not just as musicians, but as people.
Jason, would you echo that? Because that was really Jason's first comment to me when he heard your new album.
So yeah, I just went ahead and was like, oh wait, JR was telling me that they've been working in the studio, so I might as well go and take a look and see if it's been released yet. And I saw it on iTunes or Amazon. I'm like, okay, I have to get it. And started off with Hold the Line, and I immediately texted John, and I'm like, you need to get the new album. I am 10 seconds into the first song, and the musicality of it is just incredible. Just really, really mature compared with Get Up Young Phoenix. And so it's just it sounds like a completely different band. And it's just, I immediately texted really all the guys in TMR, and I'm like, we need to get these guys back on. This album is fantastic, and we need to shout from the rooftops because it's just really, really good.
Favorite track, Jason?
Favorite track is track number 1. 3-part a cappella vocal harmonies, slap bass solos.
My man.
That's right.
Oh my God.
My
Yeah.
man.
It's by far my favorite track on the entire album.
Well, that's that.
Well played. Well played.
Yep.
I will say this because it's a good segue while Brandon's catching his breath. Hold the Line happened the same way everything happens in Fellowcraft, which is you bring something to the table and your bandmates notice it and encourage it. So when Brandon joined the band early on, he had a very heavy-handed slap style of play, and he also had a very textural, like run up and down the fretboard kind of like Victor Wooten, Jaco Pastorius kind of jazz, right? Or jammy. I'm not really good on like bass bands. Like I know like Robert Trujillo and I know Flea and I know Les Claypool, but I don't know like all the bassists.
Those are all of the bass bands.
Okay. Yeah. And those are the ones I know. So he came in and
Just
he
call him
started
Jaco Pastorius. That's good enough.
Yeah, he came in and started playing these banging riffs. And I said, like, no, that's awesome. Let's write a song like that. And Brandon's like, okay. Like it, and we just keep you do something and we come up with it. I mean, Brian was like, hey man, we have this breakdown. Like, what do you want to think about a rapper? Like we all kind of embrace the idea of trying different things. I mean, sometimes we argue, sometimes we don't agree, sometimes we don't come together. And ironically is what Hold the Line is about. The song was written about core solidarity, about a group of people, or in this case, like a trio of individuals that were in an argument with each other. And you can hear that through the lyrics. And what I really love about that song, and you mentioned the 3-part harmony, is that the 3-part harmony is structured from 3 very different voices. One is like the angry member of the band that's arguing and screaming. The other is the I don't know what's going on. Sometimes my heart and mind are disconnected. This is weird. And then there's like the caboose or the battleship of the band who's like, hold the line, hold the line. And then in the end, we all come fine. And I think that was what that song was designed to be. So I love that about this record, is that there's sub-meanings in it. It's not quite as broad as Guy P was. We call it Get Up Young Phoenix, our little colloquial way of saying it's Guy P. And you'll see that, like hidden meanings in the song. And even in the lyrics a little bit too, that I kind of like when I was writing it, I thought, like one of the lines is, hold the line, I'm not wasting no more precious time. And I wrote that because at the time I was listening to It Ain't Me, Babe by Bob Dylan. And he said that, you just had me wasting all my precious time. So I was like, I'm going to put that in a song. And I did.
You guys mind if I play like the first 10 seconds of this?
I know. Do it up.
Yeah, we'll do this.
The bass is better in real life. Put your headphones on.
I believe it. Yeah, so here we go.
Doing it live.
You can't really hear it.
Wait for it.
And we'll fade it out there, but it's
it didn't.
Maybe you can add that in post.
Yeah.
Did it not play?
Robert,
I didn't hear a thing.
this is insert track here. There you go.
Oh man.
Work on your mix.
That's the worst bass solo I ever heard.
Yeah.
It really does sound bad.
Just sounds thin, real thin. Like the tone is non-existent. It has a.
You know, some EDM kids these days, they're like, let the bass drop.
It's just the form is amalgamous. I don't know.
I didn't just freeze.
That is a shame.
Yeah, you mentioned that what you were listening to at the time had an influence upon what you were writing. I'm curious about 2 things. First, do all 3 of you write? And 2, share with us a little insight into how that process looks. Do you carry a little thing in your pocket, write on a napkin, or are you a methodical person that sits down after meditation and writes a page? How does it work for you guys?
I believe the first
before JR chimes in, he really writes all the lyrics. He like the rap, everything short of the rap on That's That. He wrote even the part that another guest artist of ours sang on Bartenders and Bourbon. But one of the things I love about JR is that he is so open to influences from people he knows and respects. Not the least among them, his fiance and his two bandmates. And I am a bassist who tries to play the guitar. And I had this really interesting idea for a song, and I tried to play it for JR, and he was like, cool, man. From the perspective of someone who has written some really, really amazing lines about homelessness, about, the hold the line about being solid with your brothers, the whole theme of the organization here. And I like to think that on at least one song, one of the 20 however many originals that we've cultivated and play regularly, that I had a little bit of influence on him. But now he's going to tell you about his artistic process, because Brian is the logistics man. He runs an LLC. He accepts the money. He signs the W-2s. He signs the ICD 910-425s. You don't even know what those are. I made it up. So he does all the logistics. I kind of put together the set list and I try to manage the crowds a little bit, but these two guys really make the band hum, because they're about the venues and they're about making the connections. They're about creating the art. But one thing JR does never do, and again, he's going to talk about his lyric writing process. The one thing he never does is tell us how to play our instruments, because he knows that Brian and I are, at this point, professionals. We can do that. He'll give us suggestions. We'll give each other suggestions. We'll say, hey, maybe don't drink so much on that rehearsal, or try to turn the suck down from 10 to like an 8, which is all helpful feedback as a gift. But I just wanted to point that out, that JR is undisputedly the lyricist and artist.
It sounds terrible, John, but
yeah, there's some bass in there. I promise you, there's some bass in there. Get some headphones, download the track, stream it for free.
So if you fellowcraftband.com/3, you can listen to it there. Of course, iTunes, Spotify, all your places. You hear it live. That was Hold the Line. They're playing the beginning of Hold the Line, where Brandon does a killer bass solo. And the whole song is so upbeat and high energy. We kind of go all over the map on this album. We got a really slow bluesy song. If you like the blues, check out Bartenders and Bourbon, because that song is it's kind of a funky, ridiculous, amazing blues song that we got in there. And then, there's some great options. And the surprising one, actually, that's taken off is Proliferation Nation. That's one of the ones that in the band, we have our own favorites, but one of the really fun things, and if you guys have comments or if you listen, we love to hear what your favorites are when you hear this, because we put 3 years into this, but now it's really interesting to hear what other people's favorites are. And Proliferation Nation is one that we definitely like it. It wasn't our top one on the album, but we like it, and it definitely has kind of taken off on Spotify and some of the other places. So that's been a kind of a fun surprise from this whole thing.
Now you get the metrics on that, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. He's right. Actually, as of today, because I have the Spotify for Artists, the number one listen track on our record is Hold the Line. So throwing that out for Brandon. That is leading the pack. It helps that it's the first song, but it's also dope.
It is.
I had my dad stream it 1,000 times.
Oh, I've been streaming it for weeks.
F5, refresh.
I want to thank Brandon and Brian both for being so magnanimous. Yeah, I do write the lyrics. Often I'll ask for input on different things that you want to say or ways to say things. But yeah, the turns of phrase are usually mine. The guys do often point out things, like in the studio, for example, like Brandon, he doesn't give himself enough credit. Like we changed some lines like in the studio, and he'd be like, hey, can we say go there instead of ho? And I'm like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Let's do that.
That reminds me of like the episode of The Simpsons when the Red Hot Chili Peppers were on. And Mo's like, okay, so I have a suggestion. Instead of what I got, I want to get it and put it in you. How about I want to hug and kiss you?
I think it still would have been successful. Those guys could write a song about a bath mat and it would sell 1 million copies. And it would sound awesome, and I would love to play it. Like, I love their music.
But we actually just played at the venue that they played 5 times.
Yeah, that's true. We did. That was an awesome set. But as far as the songwriting process goes, and I'll give one that he asked about the how do I write? Well, predominantly on my phone. If I've got ideas, I just put them in a notebook. I will say this: if you talk to my bandmates and ask them to name JR in one word, I think that the earth would just be destroyed and be reborn before either of them said methodical. I tend to be pretty flighty. I tend to be pretty prone to the whims and movements of my own emotions. And I think that's partly what makes me kind of a lyricist, because I every time I write a song, it's about something in that moment. And unless I can nail it in that moment, I don't do it. I move on. I'm always like, oh, I got to try this thing. I got to try that thing.
Brad and I are always waiting for it. Like, okay, wait. Just roll with me on this. Wait. Okay,
yeah.
Maybe if we
don't be like, dude, I don't care. Just play it, you know? So their point,
I do want to chime in and say also that there's one of the things, it's my favorite metaphor, and you guys can disagree with me but I feel like the songwriting for us is almost like watching children grow up. Like the song is born, the first time the song is born, and then it's a newborn, and then we play it a few times, and then the song grows up a little bit, and we get some lyrics for it, and then it becomes a child, and then you can't really record it until it's an adult. So then we're playing it again. We're playing it at the 930 Club. We're playing it at different places. We see how crowds react. JR changes the lyrics. Then it goes through puberty and it kind of morphs again and it becomes a little bit older. And then finally, once it's a full-grown adult, that's when we record it on the album. But once we've recorded it, it has been played time and time again, and we've tested it and we've sat with it, and and JR has kind of got in his method. He's done things, and then he's totally changed the song, and then changed the theme completely, and then changed the words. But then ultimately, the amazing thing, and what we get to share with you now when we release it, is the finished product, the full-grown adult. But it's a magical thing after JR goes through his process. Yeah. And there's a lot of change and a lot of adaptation that happens in there.
I'm going to be a little bit more honest with you, because sometimes we've had, you guys know the movie Jack? Robin Williams is a personal hero of mine, not only because we share the same last name. Sometimes it goes to full-grown adult. Because we have songs that we've been working on for 3 years. We have songs that we played for, 10 months. And, if something clicks, Brian's good about locking it in so that we know what we're doing. JR is good about pushing it if it's something that is he's really passionate about. So that's where JR mentioned you got to vote. You definitely got to vote, like in general. But we also have our votes in the band, and if something wants to speed up through maturity, if it's a virtuoso at age 5, then we'll try to put it out there so people can critique it for us, give us feedback.
No, I really agree with that. Seeing how the album, especially the album itself, has a different feel than some of the other albums of yours that I've heard, and I liked how you mixed it up. You said it is a variety. One thing that I took away from it as I was listening to it, the genre that I would put kind of this album into is like ending credits to True Blood or The Walking Dead.
Oh, that's not too bad, man.
Right? When you get this one song that's got a catchy hook. It just pulls you into this atmosphere of just some twist ending, right? And so it definitely has that pick me up that you need right at the end of your workout or whatever. But that's just, to me, that's what it feels like. It's got that country rock, but it can't be constrained to that genre, like you said. You had Artemis on there, doing some rap overs. You had a whole blues song. I mean, it's just
I mean, we're
covering Game of Thrones next.
That's the good one. I would love that. I appreciate it. Like I think every genre that we throw out, every time we write a new track, like different ones are going to give you different impressions. Like whatever song you really like, I think will give you an impression. Like Charlie's songs, a song I wrote about a fallen soldier, service member, will probably give you a country feel. Stonehearted is definitely going to leave you with a grunge, almost borderline metal type of a feeling. You're going to get some punk out of Believe in We. You're going to get a lot of hard rock out of songs like Proliferation Nation and things like Hold the Line. That's that. Like I said, it's rocky, kind of bluesy, I think the overarching genre here is just energy. And I know that's not a musical genre, so you really can't say that, the band is energy.
I tried browsing for energy on
Google. It doesn't. You're going to get a lot of good EDM, and some dubstep, but I don't think you're going to get Fellowcraft.
I get all these Skrillex results. I don't know why.
I say this much because we're three dudes in a very socially conscious environment, all with very progressive opinions, very active in our community on any number of social issues. You can hit us on anything. Like, I'm strong about it. Quite a few. And we poured that into this record. And we said, but the thing we didn't want to do as a band was try to co-opt and sell off of that. We're like, hey, we're just going to say what we want to say. We're going to put the record out there. We're going to tell our friends about it. We're going to promote it as a musical piece. And I'm not going to go out there with a sign and go, oh, yeah, there's another mass shooting today. You should listen to this song. You know what I mean? That's in poor taste. And that's not how we roll, because we keep each other pretty well morally grounded. Brian's right. The song process can be child laboring. Brandon's also correct. It can be instantaneous. But the one thing that they didn't say that I'll say is it's extremely collaborative.
And we're also against child labor, just so everyone knows.
Hey, child labor laws are ruined in this country.
All right, Mike.
I was going somewhere with that, but anyway, I'm the old fart in the group, and I, to be honest with you, I haven't even had a chance to listen to the music. But one of the questions I had as I was listening to it, you guys talk about your process is, do you guys ever have that one where you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I know what I'm going to do here, and this is going to be the next song?
I did it all the time. I got like 2 new ones these guys haven't even heard yet. For the first time in my life, I'm able to write songs that I can hear in my head. I wrote kind of like that, where I had this idea of doing like this back and forth. And here's the neat thing about it was I wrote it and I was like, and the guy's like, it's not just songwriting. Like Brandon, to Juan's point, beyond songwriting is songcraft. And songcraft is where the band gets to decide how the song is structured. And I'm going to just throw this out. This is where Brandon shines because he's really gifted at it. He really understands like how to make it not monotonous, how to break up the rhythm a little bit, how to add the right chord phrasings. And he'll usually tell me like we work in a key structure and it's somewhat minimal, but he's downright gifted. Brian.
No one ever gives the drummer credit.
No, Brian's gifted in songcrafting, I think, at really structure and timing. Like he's usually the tempo. Obviously as a drummer, he's a tempo guy. But Brian will usually be the guy that'll go, how many times are we playing that progression? I think that's one progression too long. We should do this section that way. We should do this section that way. He breaks it up. I mean, look, I've said this before. If you put Brian in any band, they are immediately going to be better because they have a project manager now.
Hey, Brian.
And he's just gifted at that. Like,
Brian, what do you call the guy who hangs out with the band?
Oh, that one. Yeah. I heard of him. I feel like I am him sometimes. I don't know.
The guy who hangs out with the band, isn't that the bass player?
Oh.
Whoa. We don't do bass jokes, dude. That's poor taste. You're a bass player, Jason. You should know better.
I know.
The guy that hangs
drums too.
Self-loathing bass player.
Yes.
All right. I will say that I feel like what JR says is definitely true in terms of, for me, it's structure. And I like to think about, all right, what is the audience hearing? Like as artists, we oftentimes, let's play this or let's play this. But it comes down to like, what is it like to receive it? And so for me, I really enjoy sitting in that space of what would it be like to be a fan and listening to this. But then the other thing for me that I also kind of thrive I feel like I thrive is also with the drum parts, especially. There's a lot of drummers out there that I've heard, not all of them, but some of them they only play at one volume, or they really there's a kind of a basic rock beat and that's it. And for me, when I hear the songs, and if you listen to the drum parts in all the songs, they're all very different. And I want them to be different. And for me, I hear oftentimes the way the songwriting process works, you guys are asking about it. Oftentimes the way that it works is JR will bring in the riff and then he'll say, hey, this is the song I was thinking about. And then Brandon and I will both sit there and we'll hear like, okay, what does the drums sound like to that guitar part? And what does the bass sound like to that part? And so we really kind of create those thoughts and we create those lines, the bass line and the drum line come out of thin air, and we really write those based on what is the song saying to us? Do we need more energy, less energy? So like with that first song that we were playing Hold the Line, where we played the bass solo in the beginning. We were talking about a little earlier. That's one of those ones where right out the gate, it's like, all right, Brandon and I are okay. More energy. Let's do more. Let's add to it. Add more intricacy to it. So Brandon and I both are going bananas pretty much that whole song, because that's kind of the energy that it has, and that's one of the things that I really enjoy about the drum parts on the album that you hear. Is it's very much, what does the song say the drum part is, and the music dictates the drums instead of vice versa.
Brian does have the ear. He does have the ear.
No, and he's not wrong, because if you look at Get Up Young Phoenix was 11 tracks. It's like 41 minutes long or something like that. When we first put that out, I had a friend of mine, he was like, man, you guys write some long songs. They were like 4.5 minutes long, 5 minutes long. When we did this one, we like 4 tracks on there less than, like, that were 3 minutes or less, right around there, you know. 2 of them under 3. And I was like, man, this is an improvement.
You know, one thing that I like, I see you guys talking, and I do see that there's a chemistry between you, among you, and I know that as creatives and as the 3 main people in a group, you will have ups and downs. You'll have friction on some things. You'll have some talent that wants to dominate and sometimes relinquishes that power and another person takes it. I want to hear a little bit more about how do you guys work with that kind of push and pull of good moments, bad moments. Okay, we have to talk serious now. How do you bring everything back to an even keel when you have choppy waters?
Crippling anxiety.
Bourbon.
No, I mean, look, I'll be honest. I'm not even going to try to hide it. We fight. We just argue about stuff, and that happens. But it's never horrible. It's never like none of us have ever gotten so mad that we've left practice. None of us have ever gotten so mad that we couldn't finish a conversation. The worst among us is me, hands down. I can be an absolute terrible person to work with, especially when I've been drinking. So it's something like
the best among us is also JR. So he's hyper in tune with what's happening around, right? So like, I think one of the reasons why, yeah, well, why not just air while we're talking to 28 other people? Because what JR does is, and everyone listening should try this. He takes a break, and something that maybe he held on to for a really long time about something he created. One of his prized lyrics or something he wrote is now coming under fire. And for me, that's one of the reasons why, if I write something on the guitar, I only play it in my bedroom, because nobody can see me screw up. I'm not being vulnerable around people. And JR willfully does that on a regular basis, and bassist, not bassist. You know what I'm talking about. And he's so magnanimous about it. And I think one of the things that Brian does is keeps it very grounded in like, well, what makes sense, guys? And I kind of, similarly to our vocals, I like to float kind of in the descant above what they do. But I also, in the group, I like to try to be kind of in between where they both land. And they'll probably both tell you the same thing, that, Brian's the logician, and he's definitely the rock, and JR's creative. And then I kind of, I swing wildly. I'm like the,
Icarus.
I was gonna, yeah, Icarus is better than the mental disorder, I was gonna say, but no, I think it's important to have that equality between the 3, that you mesh so well because of that. And it's been hard for us to bring in a fourth member, because we like that equality. We like that 3, that magical number.
Cool. I love working with these guys, and hopefully it didn't come off like I was airing dirty laundry, but it's not that it's dirty laundry, because to Brandon's point, there's a vulnerability there, and I trust these guys more. There's a reason like that they're both going to be my groomsmen end of this month at my wedding, because I know that no matter how weird it might be, they've seen the most like delicate parts of me, like emotionally. All right. And in that emotional connection that I've had with Brian and Brandon, we formed a really strong bridge, and we can share a lot of stuff that, like, musically, emotionally, how we want to write, and it all comes out on the record. And I hope that when you listen to it, Mike especially, I'm looking forward to your thoughts. Love to hear you share them with us, because it's neat to hear. And somebody listens. I remember my mom, she's in her 60s now, and she wrote me back, and she's like, JR, this is unreal. She's like, this is like, she was really surprised and really happy. She's like, you guys have come so far. It sounds crazy. I heard Jason Charles Miller. I'm gonna give him a quick shout out because he was just on your show earlier, and he had an awesome record, and it sounded amazing. And it was a difference in trial, but like, it was one of those things where I was like, I wouldn't be ashamed to give this record to him and go, hey man, I hope you enjoy it. But if I had, last time around, I don't know if I could say that.
Nice. All right, we got to start wrapping things up. So I'm going to let Juan start off with his final thoughts and shameless plugs. So let's go around here. Juan?
Well, I like taking a peek at what happens behind the curtain. I like hearing a lot about that because we will see and hear the final product. We can hearing you describe what you created. It only goes so far. I want to hear the story of how that came to be, which is why I asked you about the tension, the push and the pull, because it happens with most creatives. It happens with us here. Sometimes the viewers can tell that there's some sort of tension in the conversation. They can't really put their finger because they weren't with us for the last 10 minutes in the green room, but they know that we are brothers and we are friends and we're human and we get ticked off and we try to resolve our problems or our differences or our differences. But then, when we go live, we're putting something out that, like you say, Jared, that we would be proud to put this in the hands of other people, that we want to make sure that when people listen, they come out of it thinking, you know what, damn, when he said blank, it made me think about this other thing. And like, I think I'm going to take a different approach on this problem. So I really appreciate you brothers being vulnerable, opening up to us and letting us opening the curtain a little bit so we can see inside. And, I personally look forward to listening to the whole album and seeing how much of what we discussed tonight I can see in it. So I thank you for your craft and for sharing with the craft. And with that, to the brothers of the Masonic Roundtable, thank you for hanging with us for so long. Help us in this process of adjustment. Let people know to continue to watch us if we move to an easier time slot, 8:30 p.m. Central, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. I think it's going to be easier for all of us here and for many of the brothers out there. So help us spread the word and continue supporting the Masonic Roundtable. Finally, Applied Freemasonry is in full effect. 2 more days and the enrollment window closes. So we have a course called Strong Foundation to help brothers put to work the lessons of Masonry. So in addition to video, audio, and graphic teaching tools, we also come together on a weekly basis to sit down and really talk between men in a safe video conferencing environment so that we can find how to put these beautiful lessons to work. So I'll see you on thewindingstairs.com. Thank you so much, brothers.
Very cool, Juan. Mike the intern, final thoughts.
So, I do look forward to listening to it. As a matter of fact, I've already decided I'm going to download it and make it part of my workout routine because I do that every morning anyway. So it'll be great for me to listen to during that. Hopefully I can play it loud enough to override the gym's music. But anyway, one of the things I was almost wondering too is, what do you guys actually see yourself in, say, 5 more years? Do you have 2 or 3 more albums in your mind, or just, another one, or is this, kind of peaking out? Or are we waiting for the peak?
But I think we've always been faithful to the moment, Mike. We just, everything we've done, we take it in stride because all 3 of us have day jobs. All 3 of us have families. All 3 of us have very, very active lives. And we make the best with what we have. I don't know how many records I've got left. I don't know how many venues we've got left, but I tell you, in the last 3 years, we've made strides as a band that I never thought I could stand on the 930 Club stage. Never did. Never thought it was even doable. That's the best music venue in the country, as rated by Rolling Stone and Live Nation and every ticketing venue. They've sold more tickets as a venue than anyone else in the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's more.
There's definitely more.
Yeah, I figured there probably was because he already said he has 2 more songs, but I just was just trying to trying to understand it. What your growth.
I have like
are,
6 songs these guys haven't heard.
Oh, okay.
I have 6 myself. We'll just see if we can play them.
We're going for 4 on this one.
Mike, we appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
Very cool. Let's see.
I'll go as far as the wind will take me, Mike. I'm going to open my wings up and just see what happens, because I think that's the only way. I love playing music with these guys, and so real quick, right after the 930 Club, the highest high that we'd ever had as a band, we had a rehearsal underneath my stairs, and I had an absolute blast, and it just felt just as fun to me. It was fun on the stage, but it's fun under the stairs.
That's good. That's I guess that's the important piece, huh?
When you're doing it right. Good stuff. Jason, final thoughts, social media, shameless plugs.
Hey, great conversations tonight on the YouTube chat. So really, really awesome hearing from all of the 30 plus folks who were hanging out with us while we were doing this. So thanks so much for everybody. JR, Brandon, and Brian, thanks so much for coming on and hanging out with us tonight. It's always a good opportunity to get a chance to chat with you all. And your album's awesome. I absolutely love it. It's absolutely fantastic. And I think the musicality is just amazing. It was just a really awesome surprise when I pressed play for the first time. So you guys are doing some great stuff.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
That's it for me, John.
Great. Okay. Again, thanks a lot, guys, for coming on. This is really good. Enjoyed listening to your album. Hope to hear 3 more at least, right? So keep up the good work. Congrats again for hitting a big milestone and all the hard work you put into that over the past 3 years. I know it was a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it sounds like you guys certainly get along well, and you have that chemistry, and so it definitely comes through, if not on air, at least in person. So and I've met most of you guys, so that you guys are the real deal, and you are authentic. This is really what I think I was getting the vibe from that. Is you really try to be have an authentic sound, authentic purpose behind your music. You're not selling out. You actually got something to say, and so kudos for where you've been and where you're going. So that's awesome.
And same to you.
Yeah.
Where you're going to Thursday at 8:30, 9:30 Eastern.
To a much more responsible time.
Yeah. You guys are like right on the nose. I love it. So yes, if you're listening, just a reminder: set your clocks, set your calendar. October 18th is a new date and time. Starting Thursday, October 18th. Catch us 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. Same format, just different date and time. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you all very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.